another edition of the BlueWhite Tailgate Pawcast. Andrew Kalista, Mike Rhoades, and Frank Bodani. Frank Bodani not with us for this very special edition of the podcast. We are pleased to be joined by the head men's basketball coach at Penn State University, Coach Mike Rhoades. Coach, thanks for taking the time. Really appreciate it.
You bet, Andrew. Thanks for having me on. Good to see you and Mike here.
Always a pleasure when you can get two mics on a podcast, especially two that go way back. I know you two guys have a long relationship. Coach, the season is upon us. You're about to get into official practices. What has the offseason been like for you going through building out a new roster?
Yeah, it's been a lot of hard work, a lot of building relationships. We have a lot of new faces. We have pretty much a whole new team, and it's sort of the way of the world in college basketball. To tell you the truth, it's been a lot of fun for me personally to get to know these guys, to spend a lot of time with them on the court and off the court, and to build our team and to build our culture for this year. You gotta work at it, and that takes a lot of time. And it's been fun. It was a hard spring recruiting. It was a hard spring making sure we got everybody here. I commend my staff, Andrew, the way they approached it, from the guys we got in our program here, getting everybody here this summer, and then in the fall. I commend their hard work and their approach and all that. There's no off days this spring or summer. There was no vacation days for these guys, and I really appreciate how hard they worked to put this team together.
Mike, I knew you had freshmen, and I didn't realize until I actually looked at the roster how many you have and what a variety of them you have. I mean, you have from everywhere from Don Bosco Prep to Istanbul, Turkey.
Yeah.
And this is something we talk about all the time in football is, well, this guy enrolled early, so he gets the conditioning program, he gets spring practice, blah, blah, blah. In basketball, the kids are getting there and then they have a month or 6 weeks or whatever it is before you start practice. What can you do with those guys, and what do you do? I mean, rules wise, what can you do? And what do you do to get them ready to be college students and players?
Well, we had to go wherever we could find players, Mike. So, I have a staff that has international experience, guys that played overseas. Brett Scott played for 14 years. Joe played, I think, 10. Taylor Battle played almost 10. Then Clay Connor, who played at Shippensburg, his best friend has been playing overseas for the last 5 years. That connection helped us. And then Coach Brunt and I both have recruited international kids and got them on the campuses at other places we've been. So we're going to go all over the world to get players. But we got pretty much everybody here June 15th, right around there. We went to August 12th. They took Tibor, didn't get here until the fall semester, and Melly was playing with his national team all summer long, which, as I urge our guy, you have a chance to play for your national team and wear your country on your front of your jersey. You got to do that. And so he had that international experience. Tibor, by the time we got both of their visas set up, they got here August 18th, about a week before school started. So we had everybody but those two guys here all summer. And then come August 18th, and then, of course, we started the 24th, I think. We jumped right into it to build the camaraderie and to build as I called it, building and bonding. We had to bond this team together and then build them and put the pieces together. So the whole summer was weight room. Thought we had some great, for young guys, having some great gains. Returning guys had some great gains, and then a lot of time spent in the gym and on the track, and just building and bonding all summer long.
Like you mentioned, those bonds in this era of the transfer portal, is that one of the challenges that maybe a lot of people don't think about when building a program and building a team in this era where the chess pieces are always kind of like in flux?
Yeah, I mean, that's just how it is, right? But you guys know, you've been around long enough. It's all about relationships. It doesn't matter if the relationship's 20 years old or 2 weeks. If it's a real relationship, there's going to be great growth, and together you can do some great things. And our job as a staff, my job as the head coach, is create some relationships that help these guys get to where they want to go and help build our team through those relationships. So that, X's and O's and how you do things in the weight room or on the court, all that's cool. That's important. That's what we signed up for. But if you build really real relationships, that's how you get guys to play really hard and get guys to do what you need to do to be successful. And that to me is the most important thing. And I thought we really worked on that throughout the whole summer. We spent a lot of time away from the court together and stuff like that. You hope you can speed that up, Andrew, with new faces and new guys, but relationships occur and they mend together over time, going through the good stuff and the bad stuff and everything in between. So that's just what I believe in. I'm not changing that. I know that works. And if you build a great relationships and you get to the guys' hearts and their guts and their mind, then that's when you get good things.
Mike, how 8 freshmen, obviously some of them are going to, if not all of them, are going to have to help you right away. I mean, they're going to have to play, right? So
yeah.
How many of these guys are ready for that, do you think?
Probably 4 of them. But Mike, here's the thing, like freshmen, right? Freshmen in the Big Ten. Like we see that every year. They're really good players, but they're still freshmen in the Big Ten. And when everybody's paying for teams to get older and spending all that money to get older so they don't get young, we had to do it a little bit differently. And I was like, if I'm going to do it, if I'm going to go out there and get some guys and they're young guys, I want to make sure they're guys that are going to turn into really good players. They have high character. They're about the name on the front of the jersey more than the back. And so we went that route, getting high level, high character freshmen. Now, on the first day, are they going to be exactly where we want them to be? Heck no. I mean, it's just freshmen. They don't know what they don't know. And when I was a freshman, I thought I was a lot better than I really was. And then I went to F&M and played our first game against some All-Americans. And I realized, man, I got a lot of work to do. But that's the fun thing about it when you have high character kids, because you go through those battles together. You have some adversity together. That's how we're going to build this with the way we develop players. And the key is, make sure we retain the ones that want to really stay here. And that's the most important thing moving forward.
Mike, you mentioned the relationship. I'm sorry, Mike, go ahead.
I was just going to say, you have, at least in my mind, you have a style of play. You have a Coach Rhoades style of play. And how close are you going to be able to be to that? Like, what kind of style do you think you're going to be?
Yeah, well, we're going to have to play the style that I really like, because we're going to have to create more possessions, and we have to create a wider margin of error, Mike, because we're going to be younger, and we will have mistakes and we will have some tough days. So if we could fly around and create extra possessions and not let it come down to the last 5-7 seconds of every shot clock, that's going to, that's playing to an advantage of a young team. So I've always felt that, in my 2 years in the league, and you watched our games, our style of play has changed teams in the Big Ten's plan of attack against Penn State.
That is,
and we haven't had enough of talent, enough of depth of that talent to keep it going like I did at the last place I was at. But that's part of building this, and then building it in the landscape of college basketball here is even harder. But I still believe that's the way. We had some great wins and we've had some great moments. We just haven't been able to sustain that enough for multiple reasons. Plus, it's the Big Ten, and the Big Ten right now is staying older and bigger and stronger, and we're going to have to be different. So there's nothing wrong with being different if you believe in it.
Mike, you mentioned those great moments. Purdue last year was one of those great moments, and it was raw. It was organic. You immediately grabbed the microphone, yelling into the crowd. I always felt at Penn State, and I asked 2 predecessors of yours at Penn State about them pushing the fans to be more involved, to push the program forward. What role do the fans have to play to make the BJC a hostile environment to get.
Well, you got to show up, right? You got to show up. And, my first year, everybody was excited and we had great crowds. Even last year, we had some great crowds. The tough thing, like not making excuses, right? A Wednesday night at 9:00 because the Big Ten put us at 9:00 on a TV game. Well, there's only so many people, Andrew, you being one of them, right? You have a small child and you're almost 2 hours away in the weather. A 9:00 game on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is a lot harder than a Friday, Saturday. That's reality. Back in the day, it used to be 7:00 on a Wednesday and afternoon or Saturday night. They're much easier. Now, when you play every night of the week and you can play some 8:00 and 9:00 games, it's just harder. So some of those games, like, it's somewhat understandable, but that's happening all over the country too. But in the in the Northeast, in January and February, that's tougher travel without a doubt. So not making excuses, that's just the reality. On those nights, that's when we need our students to really show up. That's when we've had some great games where our students showed up, just not consistent enough. We got to continue to keep doing a really good job of getting them included. And doing that, I really appreciate that, we have a bunch of students really trying to help and push that initiative. We don't have just 7 home games, we'll have 18. So that's different. We play over Christmas break, so that's different. I thought we had some really good crowds over Christmas break because of the way we marketed the games and all that. So we just it's a cumulative effect, Andrew. We just got to continue to push it. We do have good crowds. We just have a huge arena. You know what I mean? So, some days that arena is more hostile than other days, but we still have a good number of fans. We get a lot of the community come out. We got to get more students to come out. And then there's those certain games where we need people to get in their cars and drive those, that 1.5, 2, 3 hours to get to a game. But our job is to put a product on the court that people want to come see us too. And, we got to be more consistent in finding ways to get the results.
Mike, what have you learned now? A couple years in, you're going to year 3 now. What have you learned about how to work within the hierarchy of a gigantic athletic department like Penn State's, which is a little different than VCU, I would think? Work to get what you need for the program.
Well, just build relationships, right? Honestly, I put the blinders on, hunker down, and just really worry about yourself, worry about your team. Anybody that touches your program, I want to know how I could help them to make it better, because if I could help them make it better for what they do within our program and our team, then we're all going to be better. So, that's sort of always been my charge, Mike, as the head coach. I got to serve everybody and help everybody be really good and be better all the time. That's sort of the push all the time for me. And then, just having great, honest conversations with people in charge of where we're at, what we need to do. Not everything happens overnight. I totally understand that. But, I said it to the president when we talked before I took the job. I'll never embarrass Penn State, but I'm still going to be a bulldog, a pit bull with manners to push and make our program better. And I'm not going to stop doing that. I believe that's the right way. I think you could, represent this university and represent your program, represent your name the right way and professionally and respectfully, but also push to make things better. And I like that's the key. And everybody wants to win. Every coach wants to win. Every team, player on every team here wants to win. That's no different for us. We just got to continue to keep pushing so we can continue to do more and more in the program to make it better and better.
Mike, you mentioned that Mingo and Mason Blackwood, very highly rated recruits. Mingo, the highest rated recruit Penn State's ever got coming into the program. I know your upbringing. I know where you played, the courts you grew up playing. They weren't fancy gems by any stretch of the imagination. They had cracked concrete, blacktop, all that stuff. Mike could tell you that every single week I pound the door that Penn State needs a state-of-the-art practice facility. When you're bringing in recruits like a Mingo and a Blackwood, what could a practice facility do for not only your program, but the Lady Lions as well?
Yeah, well, I mean, just when things are updated and things, I always say like bells and whistles, right? you want to have a solid, great culture, guys that are working really hard, and if players know that you can help them get better and develop and have success and help them get to where they want to go, be professional basketball players, that's everything, right? But then they also, when they walk in and they see facilities that are just, spectacular, like so many programs out there that are very successful. It just, there's alignment. There's alignment saying that this is important, how we do things, how when you walk in the building, you walk in the practice gym, you walk in the locker room, whatever it may be, you see that, you can tell everybody's aligned on doing things the right way and all that stuff. And, logistically, it would really help our programs that way. Because there's just times where we have to deal with other stuff. But the neat thing is, like, the other day I came in here with my son to shoot at 11 o'clock at night, 10:30 at night, and there were players in here in the gym working out. That's the most important thing, is recruiting competitive, hungry players. If they have great facilities, that's a bonus. That really helps in recruiting. That really helps in logistically in a lot of things. But man, it's all about the kids. It's all about the players. You want to give them a great situation for them to develop and, reach their goals and dreams.
Mike mentioned talking about Mingo. You have two guys among these incoming freshmen. You have two guys that were sort of traditional high school recruits who a lot of people wanted. I mean, pretty elite guys. Yeah. Mingo, and I would put Blackwood in that category too. That's what I'm talking about. Who I notice is 230 pounds. I thought he was sort of a slender wing type guy, 6'7", 230. Anyway, tell me what those guys can be, not only in terms of how good they are, but what kind of player can they be.
Well, they're from winning programs, winning families, winning programs. As good a basketball players they are as young freshmen, they're even better young men. High character guys. Really impressed with both of them, the way they carry themselves on and off the court. We're going to throw them in the fire from day one. They're both going to play a lot. I love it. We're going to have some days everyone's going to be super excited about them. We're going to have some days where you say, well, they're freshmen. They're getting burnt in the fire. That's I've been through that before with a bunch of freshmen. But the neat thing about when you play freshmen right away, there could be a lot of growth early. Caden is a consummate point guard. He wants to run the team. He wants to run the show, but he can make plays. Super competitive. Comes from a very competitive program at Long Island Lutheran, and he's one of these kids. He's gotten better since June 15th when he showed up. Every week he's gotten better, and his approach is high level. So he's going to have some growing pains, but really excited to watch him grow. Mason, like you said, I mean, he's 230. He's just put on great weight this summer. Lifts really hard. Works really hard. He cares so much. He's super competitive, but with a great understanding of like the purpose of what we're doing. So I just think he's going to continually get better and better and just put his prints on our program just because of his competitive approach. And I think he can get a lot better as a basketball player, but he does some things now that impacts winning and really competes every day with our guys. So, I like that. Ivan Joric from Croatia, 7-footer. He's a freshman, Mike.
Yeah.
I thought he was a good player. He's better than I thought when he showed up here this summer. He's very skilled. He's a skilled European big man. He's tough around the basket. He could rebound. He's very physical, but he also can step away from the basket and shoot threes. A very good passer, really good feel. He's been fun to coach. And then Meli Tunca from Turkey is a 6'5" combo guard, very talented. He is going to make some big plays for us this year as a freshman, just because he's been playing against professional players for a long time. So he's not the moment's not going to be too big for him. He's just going to continue to get stronger and mature. He's a freshman as well. Those four guys right there, that's four freshmen. Nobody talks about four freshmen. We didn't even get to anybody else yet, but that's just how we're going to play this year. But I'm excited about it. I just think as the year goes on with this experience, especially those four guys, they're going to get better and better.
Like a lot of basketball people have said that players who have played internationally, like several of these guys, they're a little more polished. Maybe they've played against pros. Maybe it's a different way of skill development internationally than in America. I don't know if there's anything to that. Do you find that there is something to that?
Oh,
And if so, will you be able to? Will that maybe be able to accelerate the process?
yes, without a doubt. And I'm not knocking American basketball. What I'm saying now is, for example, my son Logan, who plays at Susquehanna, right? When he started playing AU basketball, he only played with his age group. He never played against older guys. Very rare. Where when I was growing up, I was playing against older guys at the playground, the schoolyard, or up at the junior high. Or if I went to another town to play pickup, it was all the older guys, and they picked you in, and you learn how to play by older guys. It's not like that now. It's more you're in your age group all the time, and you find a role, and sometimes your role never changes. So there's great player development, and there's great training, but the feel for the game is not the same because it's more training based than it is playing with the older guys and getting a feel. In Europe or all over the world in other parts of the country, if you go, for example, Yannick was in Switzerland, then at 13 he went to a club in Germany. Well, he's in this club in Germany going to school and training, and every day he's going to practice with 18, 19, 22-year-olds. And then when he got bigger, he played with the pro team or practiced with them, and he played with grown men, professionals. So you are learning while you're getting beat up. You're learning on the fly. The wisdom you're getting is from experienced players. We all had those guys growing up that we still talk about. So European kids have that all the time. Melly, for example, he played professionally on a professional team the last 2 years while he was going to school, and he was around guys in their 20s and early 30s.
Sure.
Tibor played, and he's around guys in their 20s and early 30s and mid 30s, and he's around older people all the time. I think it's a big difference, and I do agree with you, Mike. I just think they have a better feel to play the game. I'm not saying they're better skilled or more athletic or bigger and stronger. They just have a little bit better feel, and I say, like, they don't get as frustrated with the game playing it. If they make a mistake, they're figuring the game out a little bit easier than I think sometimes American players, because they're just so used to, this is what I did for so long in my own age group. And then now you go to college and you're not in your own age group anymore. It's a little different.
Mike, you kind of answered the question I had coming out when you were going through the roster of the freshmen, specifically with the European guys. Would you say that players today, altogether, American, European players, they're a little bit more mental maturity to be able to handle the rigors that these freshmen are going to face coming into the Big Ten than maybe at other points in your career that you've experienced?
I think everybody now plays in front of a lot of crowds and plays in intense games and all that stuff. So I just think they're a little bit more, the international game, the travel, the crowds are Big Ten level crowds. I think some of them, aren't going to be miffed by that stuff. But the game's different. The international game is different than college. College games in the United States. So there's going to be an adjustment for them, good and bad in a way. But I do feel some of them some of these European guys we have they're just a little more feel. They don't need the ball in their hands all the time. It's passing, right? The ball moves faster than the dribble. They grew up on that. But it's also it's enjoyable to watch, and it carries over. When guys are passing the ball to open players all the time, it becomes contagious because everybody gets opportunities to make plays and score. And I feel that we have that with our team already, even though we're young.
Mike, when I think of the Big Ten in hoops, it just feels like the league is so deep. The coaches are so good that it just feels like this. It feels like they're so evenly matched. They're just kind of banging on each other. What is anything surprised you about the Big Ten? And are you energized or sometimes blown away by how deep it is and how
No, I'm totally energized, man. This like I think this is awesome. I think this is cool. It's my third year, and I know there's we have our challenges here at Penn State. Like you've heard this before. Like and I'm experiencing them, right? And some of it is what it is until it changes. And we'll just keep knocking on doors until we change it. But the fun thing about it for me is like, all right, how can I tinker with this team? How can I figure this out? How can I do something to go on the road and beat Indiana at Indiana? And you're going, you really think like that? Yeah. And we already beat Indiana at Indiana. Or, how do we beat a team that's so much older and stronger than us and more experienced like Illinois? Well, let's figure it out. But we already beat Illinois since I've been here, and so that so we've had some really good moments of good basketball that could win in the Big Ten. We're just not consistent enough. And there's lots of reasons for that. And I got to coach better. I got to get better. I got to find ways to steal a basket here or find a way to get a stop or a turnover here. That's the fun part of coaching. I put it all on me we got to figure it out. We had too many close games last year, and I've always prided myself on winning close games. When it's a one possession game with 4 minutes or less, that's winning time. And going back for a long time, I feel that we won those games. We were close last year. We got beat up we didn't have enough depth. We got beat up. We had injuries, but man, we were still in all these games and we didn't pull them out. That's on me. I got to figure that out. Got to steal a couple more baskets in both halves. We got to develop a bench. That was one thing I didn't think we did a good job of last year. Even though we had some young guys, some guys just weren't ready. Well, we have a bunch of young guys this year. They're going to be ready. We have to find a way to make them ready. And I think at times this year, Mike, we're going to have some nights where you're going to be like, wow, these guys are pretty good and very skilled. We're going to have some nights, I think, where we just get, we get outgunned by bigger and older. But it won't be for the lack of fight or, our style of play. I think our style of play has helped us tremendously. And if, we just got to continue to solidify that even more.
You're gonna play a game in Hershey. You played a game in Palestra. You played a game in Anvil. Even what's the going forward? What would you like to accomplish in terms of things like that? Playing in different venues, but also scheduling, just in general about.
Yeah, well, it's a crazy balance. This, when you talk about like what's been different in the Big Ten. Scheduling's been different, right? Because you have all these quad one games built into your schedule with Big Ten play. So, I've always tried to play anybody anywhere, and I've played in different arenas and on the road, and we played neutral games and all that. Here, I could be a little more strategic. So I could care less what people say, like, oh, but like playing in Hershey and playing Pitt and Hershey. That's a huge game for the state of Pennsylvania in college basketball. And why wouldn't we go to central Pennsylvania where there's so many Penn State fans and Penn State donors? And we know so many of the basketball people in central Pennsylvania. Why wouldn't we do that, right? I said that at my press conference. So I'm really glad that we worked it out with Hershey. And I'm so glad Jeff Capel's a good buddy of mine. He's a great guy. And he's in the same boat looking for the right games too. And so that anytime we can get to Philly, so many Penn State fans and alums and Penn Staters in the Philly and Jersey area that can drive a short distance to get to see a game at the Palestra, or is it Wells Fargo still, or did it change, Mike? Xfinity.
It was Wells Fargo.
Yes. So get to play in the Sixers arena. In the Philadelphia area against the Philly, LaSalle, a Big Five team. Come on. I mean, that's good stuff. And if we go play well and we play the right way and maybe we get some more fans that say, we're going to travel up to State College to see them in the winter. That's why we're doing that. And, we were thinking about taking the year off of the Palestra and do it every other year. But you know what? We sell it out. And it's a fun game. And over Christmas break, instead of playing over Christmas break with no students, all the students in the Philadelphia area get to that game over their break with their high school buddies. So, we're going to continue to do that. And, we got invited to play at a big tournament next year. We got to figure out who the other teams are. So we're going to continue to work. We're going out to Dayton for an exhibition game. That will get some, why am I going out there? Well, Coach Grant is a good friend of mine as well. It's for his foundation to honor his daughter. And I'm honored to do that and take my team there. But to go play at Dayton, there'll be 13,000 fans there. It'll be sold out. It will be like a March game. And we get to go play there in October, a couple weeks in the practice, and, put our uniforms on and see what, make a road game and see what it's all about. Going to play at Dayton's like a Big Ten road game, without a doubt. And I've been in that environment many a times. It was a lot of fun. It'd be great for our young guys and for our team to build, to build our medal. But so we're gonna do that. So my strategy is try to get a schedule that really balances the Big Ten play, get some games, some quality games in Pennsylvania if they're in State College or they're somewhere else throughout the Commonwealth. Awesome, let's do that. Let's cater to our fans, our Penn Staters, wherever they're at. I still want to get to Madison Square Garden and maybe even the D.C. area because there's so many in the Northern Virginia and in the DMV area. So, we'll continue to push different opportunities like that all the time. But I think sometimes you got to go to them. They can't always come to you.
Don't beat yourself up over not knowing what particular bank the Sixers arena happens to be named after now. I consider that a positive.
My favorite was the Spectrum. That was my.
I like the Spectrum too. The Spectrum was very. Yep.
The most appropriate name was the First Union Center because then it was the FU Center.
The FU Center. Yeah, we all remember that.
That was when I was a child, and that was all fun. Mike, the one aspect of college sports that I'm uncomfortable talking about still, even though it's a reality, is the money situation.
Yeah.
Gene Smith out at Ohio State was saying like $20 million for Ohio State football to put a product out there. And it's true.
What did he say?
It was like $20 million. Mike, Mr. Gross, wasn't it? $20 million for
that was a while ago. That
was a long time ago.
The money Texas Tech has thrown out for their football program this year. And you hear some numbers for basketball. What does it take? What would it take in your mind for Penn State to be to compete year in and year out in the top third of the Big Ten in NIL?
Yeah, Andrew, I'm going to answer that two different ways. Okay, one, the competitive nature of me, right? Wherever you're at, all you want is a chance. You want a chance. You want a chance to be able to compete with everybody else. So, like the competitor in all of us is, hey, here's what everybody's doing. Are we going to do it? Like, I get that part, right? And everybody talks about that, and it's right. Penn State, you and I, Mike, we didn't create this landscape. This landscape was created by other people, and there was no control of it. There was no guardrails, and it's turned into what it is. It is what it is. If you want to succeed and you want to win at this level, there's got to be a level of commitment to winning. It is what it is. But I also feel, and Pat Kraft knows how I feel about this, and we're on the same page. Like I don't want to do what some of these teams are doing, like the craziness of it. Like, to me, it's I want to do this the right way, okay? But I still want to be able to compete. I want to still be able to go out and get players that want to come here and play our system. Our system is a really cool system. It's developed guys that have played in the NBA and have played all over the world. They're professional basketball players. It's an overachieving system. It makes guys get better and develop and grow, because that's the number one thing of our program is make these guys better. But you want to get good players, and to get good players, you got to pay for them, and that's how it goes. I love the group we got here. But I also know if we want to take this program to a level, we got to have a level of commitment to winning. And, we're going to continue to push with that. I communicate with our AD all the time. I love Pat. I mean, he wants to win. He wants to do it the right way. So we're going to continue to keep pushing forward and see if how we're going to do it is going to compete in the Big Ten and get us moving forward. But I do agree with you. I don't think we have to be up there with some of the teams that are spending this crazy number, but I do think that we need to be in a position where, we're battling everybody else for good players and retaining the really good players and making sure we make smart, fiscal decisions all the time.
Mike, I just saw a notification on my phone that Bruce Pearl is expected to retire. So maybe you can bring him into Racing Cashwood.
Oh, he can talk, that's for sure. So
that was a joke.
Yeah, I'm sure his son is going to be he's a head coach in waiting. I got to know when I was at VCU as assistant with Coach Smart. I got to meet Bruce Pearl when he was out of it, and he's all about protecting the game and a guardian of the game. He really is. And everybody does things the way they want to do it, and everybody's different and all that stuff. But the one thing I will say about Coach Pearl is he really cares about his players, and he has great pride in where he's at, and you could see that in the way his teams play, without a doubt. So I'm bummed out that he's not with us because he really promotes the game the right way. But I'm sure his son will step right in there and keep it rolling.
Okay, I'm good, man. Andrew,
that's good for me, Coach Rhoades. Really want to thank you for taking the time out of a busy schedule here leading up into preseason.
I never thought I'd be doing a podcast from a guy from Lebanon and a guy from Monterey City, two guys from Monterey City. But I'm glad I'm doing it with you guys, and I appreciate your time.
That's impressive.
Coach, really appreciate you taking the time.
And the resume builder, man.
You bet.
All right, head coach Mike Rhoades. Long time he gave us here, Mr. Gross, on a BlueWhite Tailgate Pawcast, and he sets history. That's our first Penn State head coach, active head coach on the program. Of course, we have James every single week on the program, but that's recorded in our press conference. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I thought Mike was great, and I thought we did a pretty good job too, because they're very, very humble. I humbly assert that I thought we did a pretty good job. Anyway, there's things about Penn State basketball that are frustrating, and we all know that, and Mike Rhoades knows that. But obviously, you can't. There's certain things that you can't expect him to say on a podcast, and I thought we kind of negotiated that pretty well. I thought he did a really good job of acknowledging that without seeming like he's a malcontent or anything, even come close to that. But yeah, I thought it was very good. I've always been a big fan of Mike, as you know, and we've been friendly for a long, long time. And he did well.
Penn State basketball is just so unique. There's maybe 2 or 3 programs like them in the entire country. And it seems out of those 2 or 3 programs, Penn State's the one that I want to say gets in its way more often than not. And for the first time in its history, Penn State has a proven winning head basketball coach as their head coach in Mike Rhoades. And that is a hire coming off of a successful, albeit brief, stint of Micah Shrewsbury. And for me, if the fans aren't going to buy into Penn State basketball right now, then when? It's the same argument we make with Penn State football. And the Lettermen have said on our podcast, if not now with James Franklin, when? If not now with Penn State basketball, when? There's an influx of money coming in. I realize $700 million renovation in the Beaver Stadium. The Ben's basketball program needs money, and the Lady Lions, by that matter, because any dollar spent, you're improving 2 programs. I get what brings in the money. Penn State basketball is a money-making venture. It's high time that the administration, the athletic director, and Pat Kraft don't settle for TV revenue for them making money and get money making done somewhere else. Bryce Jordan, nobody's asking for a new arena at the Bryce Jordan Center. They need a practice facility to help recruits. They need NIL money. If you got Mike Rhoades to mid-level NIL money in the Big Ten, you will consistently have an NCAA tournament contender. That's what type of winning coach he is and winning grinder that he is.
Couple of things about what you just said. One, Shrewsbury did a great job here, and he left because of NIL money, according to him. I mean, he was very candid about that. Went to Notre Dame, which is, maybe almost a lateral move, generally speaking. I don't know, maybe that's not true, but close to it. I mean, it's not. He didn't leave to go to Kentucky. And the other thing is, it makes money. Penn State basketball makes money almost entirely, as you said, because of TV revenue, not because they're filling that building. And it could be better. And it has always felt like the powers that be in State College don't care that much. And it seems like a missed opportunity. There's a lot of schools. Michigan is at a different level in basketball than Penn State is. Ohio State's at a different level. I mean, they're not Duke and Kentucky either, but they're pretty good. Yeah, it's an opportunity here, and it's an opportunity that with this coach, if you sort of fulfill the university's mandate for that opportunity, they can win. I think they could win.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Pat Kraft, press conference. You and I were both there. He spoke about opportunities, money-making opportunities. This is the shiniest one out there.
I think it is. It is in that, at least in terms of teams, intercollegiate teams, in that athletic department. I think it is. I think you're right.
And to be clear, nobody is advocating taking money away from any of the other programs.
Oh,
this
no.
This is a strict investment into basketball, and it's there for the taking in this era that we're in.
Yeah,
Penn State just had the highest rated recruit they've ever had on campus in Mingo's brother. They have their highest rated commitment, or signing, I should say, player in Caden Minga. And his brother is a lottery pick, a one and done. And he was on campus at the Oregon
campus for the Oregon football game. I mean, I and he is a guy who he might want to play. There's a chance they have a puncher's chance to get him because he might want to play with his brother. If he's really thinking, I'm just going to spend 1 year in college and get the experience, he might want to play with his brother, and he might want to, the atmosphere of the whiteout might have blown him away a little bit. Who knows? So, that kind of thing. It's a little bit like the hockey player that we've talked about, who
Adam McKenna,
going to be the number 1 pick in the NHL draft a year from now. But 1 year he chose Penn State. 1 year, I'm going to try college and try the experience for 1 year. He chose Penn State. Maybe that kid's a game changer, but it's going to cost him. Right?
Yeah, I mean, it is. That's the era that we're in, and it cost Penn State. We don't know the exact number, but it cost Penn State a pretty penny. Gavin McKenna here, he's not down here with Habitat for Humanity, or the Peace Corps.
Correct.
So
that is correct, and we don't know how this money gets moved around behind the scenes. I mean, there's a lot of things that we don't know about, but I do think it was interesting to hear Mike talk about those freshman kids that are going to be here this year. That was another thing, and 4 of whom he said, and that was pretty candid. I thought 4 of whom are going to be starters or rotation players for sure right away.
And you know what? You won't find a more honest interview than what we just got from a coach. I mean, he said there's going to be nights where they really surprise some good teams with those 4 freshmen that he has coming in. And then there's going to be nights where those freshmen are going, baptism class because the Big Ten is tough.
No question. And of those four, 2 of them are traditional high school recruits from American high schools who were really good players who other schools wanted. The Mingo kid in particular was that guy. But and then the other 2 are guys from overseas who are kind of already semi-pro or professional players who have been through it a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see what happens this year with that team, because in a way they're going to be super young and inexperienced, but in a way they're going to have some men. I mean, some of these freshmen are men, so we'll see.
A challenge to the fans, our demographic on the types of listeners that we have on this program and through your Substack, it's an older demographic. It is like, so I'm talking to those people that go up to the games on the weekends and possibly have season tickets for Penn State basketball. Get off the seat and yell and scream and provide an atmosphere for this basketball program. We don't have many students tuning in yet. Would love to have them. Like it, share it. This is ad-free for everybody.
Maybe.
So help the Blue White Tailgate podcast by sharing with a friend. Get us listeners, share with a friend so we reach more people, because we're not doing ads. We're not doing promotions. The students need to come to the games. I was a student at a basketball school. Football was atrocious. It was Syracuse University. We had nothing better to do on a Wednesday on a 9 p.m. start than go to the Carrier Dome. Granted, the Carrier Dome sold beer. That's not an excuse anymore at the Bryce Jordan Center.
There you go.
Well, it wasn't like there were some lean years.
Of a much better tradition.
True.
Basketball does. That's true. I don't know. You tell me. What did you like the Carrier Dome as a building for college basketball?
I like the Carrier Dome. I mean, it was an atmosphere. It was a great atmosphere. When I was there, Jerry McNamara, it was a senior year, struggled, took a lot to get into the tournament. The next year, missed the tournament, NIT 2 years in a row. So, but the students still showed up. So for Penn State students, show up. You want your football team to show up.
Yeah.
Support.
Yeah. You could do a lot worse than going to a college basketball.
Exactly. You're looking at great talent, different levels of talent. The time to buy into Penn State basketball is right now.
Yeah.
And that, the administration.
I hear you. I mean, this is they're probably going to be as these freshmen mature, they're probably going to have a chance to do something here, and it bears watching. I mean, I don't know, if I was a Penn State student, I'd want to go watch Big Ten basketball just for that. But I'm a basketball guy, so that's a little different. But
you are a basketball junkie, and there's tons of Penn State basketball fans up there. Big Ten doesn't do them any favors with 9 o'clock starts. Big Ten does do them a favor having Michigan State at home, on a weekend, on a Saturday. Get there. Pack the arena, 18,000 people. Show the recruits that you're behind this coach, this staff, who's doing everything in their power to make Penn State basketball a winner. I mean, you would think I'm on the payroll the way I'm talking about it, but that's actually what I believe in what Coach Rhoades is trying to do. They start out with an exhibition at Dayton on October 19th. I like that. Kind of like what Coach Rhoades said. Hey, that's a Big Ten road environment. They love their basketball out in Dayton.
Yeah, so, Dayton is that's a really good game to play that early. I think even it's certainly not an easy win. I mean, unless Dayton is way down, I'm not going to pretend.
Well, it's an exhibition game, so it's going to be a test either way.
Yeah.
So, Indiana, Big Ten game on December 9th is their first. They start October. I like going on the road at Providence up in Yukon. Little neutral site game right there. Palestra moved to the New Year holiday, January 3rd, not taking away a home game. Smart play by the schedule makers right there. But that's pretty much it. I mean,
remember they're playing Pitt and Hershey too.
And Pitt and Hershey.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to be on. There's a lot to get excited for, and they'll have some growing pains this year. A tournament, I don't want to call it a miracle. It would be a really tough road to get to the tournament, but the seeds that are planted this year should pay dividends with these young players in year 2.
This is certainly transitional. Yeah, this is certainly transitional, and yet it would not surprise me if they were able to steal some wins and do okay. I mean, the tournament is a long shot, but it's not. I don't think it's an impossibility. I'm sure some people would scoff at that notion, but they're going to be very young, but I think they're going to be interesting young and talented young. And again, I think this year is more transition than anything else.
Yep, absolutely. So I want to thank Coach Rhoades for coming on Blue White Tailgate Podcast. And we look forward to having him on again, hopefully during the season. Hopefully it's a pre-NCAA tournament invite that we're getting him on. We'll see about that, but definitely a lot to look forward to. So for Coach Rhoades and for Mike Rhoades from Gross Rational Product, I'm Andrew Kalista. Make sure you like, follow on Instagram, YouTube page as well, and check out the new BlueWhite Tailgate Podcast website, BlueWhiteTailgatePodcast.com. Have a good one.